winners of the 2022 NBA draft. Now, some teams had multiple first-round picks, which is why they were able to really draft multiple good players in a draft. But which teams did you think won the NBA draft? I'll start with you, Riv.
So I have 3 teams and a player.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I do also have 3 teams.
Okay, so I have Detroit. I think that's
absolutely
everybody's going to pretty much look at that as a win, getting Jaden Ivey. I think it started before the draft, trading Jeremy Grant, even though it wasn't for a lot, getting him out of there, getting some cap, and then bringing in Jaden Ivey, trading for Jalen Duren. You basically filled up your shooting guard for the future and your center for the future. I think Duren's going to be huge for Cade. Now you got Sadiq Bey, you got Jaden Ivey. So you got a nice 4-man tandem to develop. So I thought
Marvin Bagley, you're not
Marvin Bagley, but they got to sign him back. But the 4-man tandem is going to be them, and I think that's huge for them. Detroit's not in a bad spot. They'll make some good moves. They'll be okay. The number 2 team I picked was San Antonio.
Yep.
I thought getting Jeremy, getting Blake Wesley, getting Malachi, I thought those are 2 guards that can definitely come in and contribute. I had them picking Johnny Davis in our mock draft, but they ended up getting Malachi. I still think it's good. I don't think that's any
that was a come-up.
Drop off or nothing like that. That's still good. And getting a guy, they don't have a real 4. I think Keldon Johnson's more of a 3 than a 4. So getting Jeremy to fill up that void, that's going to be good. So I think they had a really good draft. My 3rd team was the Pacers. I thought Benedict Mathurin, with Brogdon and Turner being on the trade block, even if they do stay, Mathurin's probably going to be the 2 guard for the future. I feel like he fits perfectly next to Halliburton. Getting Kendall Brown that late, I feel like that's somebody they could develop. He can be a really good player. And then Andrew Nembhard, somebody who can be a backup point guard for them. He may not be a starter, but somebody who could come in and contribute from day one. I think that would be huge for them. And then my player was, like we were talking about before, Patrick Baldwin Jr. I think he's one of the winners of this draft because he went to a situation where he can develop into a good player. Like, this was a player who was the top 5 player in high school, went to a bad situation, didn't play well. Like, we were talking about his numbers before. He was pretty stinky in college, but now only
11 games, though.
Going to Golden State, a place where we've known that can develop, and going into a position like that, I think that would help him. That was, like, the perfect spot. So those are my winners of the draft.
I don't know if you saw Benedict Mathurin's draft call with the Pacers. It popped up on my TikTok, and it actually was like, Rick Carlisle and the team president and GM congratulating Benedict Mathurin, and it really didn't seem like he cared at all about being in Indiana. Like, Rick Carlisle literally said, like, at the end of the call, we're so excited to have you here, and what's even better is that Tyrese Halliburton's a point guard that's going to make you better, and we're excited to bring you in, Ben. Can't wait to, see you play and stuff. And then all you heard was, boop.
No way.
Yeah, like,
that's
Benedict
crazy.
Mathurin didn't even respond back. All you heard was just him, boom, poof, the call.
That is not ideal.
And
not
all his
ideal
answers were, like, one-word answers. They were like, yep, I'm excited, appreciate it. Yep.
What team do you think he was looking to go to? Maybe the Blazers? Maybe. Facts. All right, so my 3 winners of this draft, you mentioned it, the Pistons, 100%. Being able to stay at 5, not have to trade up, not trade any assets to acquire Jaden Ivey. That's huge. And to get Jalen Duren for very minimal, you take that. Now you have 2 starting players to pair with Cade Cunningham. This is a very promising, exciting young team. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. Number 2 for me, I have the Houston Rockets. To sit at number 3 and get Jabari Smith, who people were chatting, that was going to be the number 1 pick. That's huge. You have Tari Eason at 17, and then you get Ty Washington with that 3rd pick of yours.
We almost got it correct if freaking John didn't pick Walker Kessler.
Yeah, not ideal. Walker Kessler was still a 1st-round pick, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
I know you
Houston,
guys. I know, but you guys were going crazy on John because he picked him in the 1st round at all. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't say crazy, but we were so close, like so
understandable.
close.
But Ty going to Houston is best case scenario for not only Houston but him as well. They need point guard depth. KPJ is not a true point guard. I do like KPJ as a ball player, but he's just not a point guard. Ty Washington will come in. He'll play the point guard position for them. And lastly, I have OKC as a winner in this draft. Sit at number 2, you get Chet Holmgren. That's the player that they wanted. They were able to get, to a lot of people, the best player in this draft. At 11 to trade up and get Ousmane Dieng, guy with a lot of offensive upside. That's very big. Jalen Williams, who's an excellent 3-point shooter. And you have a new lineup that you look at with OKC that is finally starting to put it all together. They have a plethora of draft picks, and they're trying to do the most they can to maximize their rebuild. You have Giddey, SGA, Dort, Poku, Basley, whichever 2 they want to start, and Holmgren on the bench, Trey Mann, Jalen Williams, Dieng. this is starting to we're starting to see the pieces come together for OKC, and I like what I'm seeing from them. And give it a few years, and this team will be exciting.
So for me, I think the Pistons were the draft winners to me.
No doubt.
They won the draft because they got two surefire prospects, Jaden Ivey, who has the potential to be a star, all-star player in this league, and you pair him with Cade Cunningham, and then Jalen Duren, who he's DeAndre Ayton to me. I was
going to say you were a little well. DeAndre Ayton's not that's not disrespectful by any means.
Not.
It's not. But I know that you were a little bit lower on Jalen Duren in our conversations that we've had.
Jalen Duren, you're mentioning Jalen Duren. Yes, because I am not the biggest fan of drafting a center with a valuable asset at the top of the draft. But with the Pistons, that was their second pick. If that was their first round pick, that would be a problem.
Oh, no doubt. But they had a top 5 pick.
Like,
that's
for example,
Duren.
If the Knicks drafted Duren at 11, I wouldn't.
Which they did.
No, at 13.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been a big fan of that. But because this is their second selection, you need the first one, you swing for the fences, you go with best player available. And there's an argument to be made that when the Pistons at 13, basically because, Knicks traded them the pick, Jalen Duren was the best player available on the board, and for the position of need Detroit needed, which is center,
I'm with you.
That was the best player for them. So
and it saves them some money. You don't have to go and sign DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I think that's perfect because DeAndre Ayton's not worth the max. So now you get to have Jalen Duren. You have somebody who has a higher motor. He has a higher motor than Ayton, and I think he's that type of player, but he can be better because he's already a better shot blocker than DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton's not the best shot blocker in the world.
And Jalen Duren's a body.
Yeah, so I think
that's a grown-ass man.
He's big.
Pistons won the draft to me pretty easily. We'll talk about them more in depth later on in the show.
Definitely.
The Thunder, another winner.
I
think Chet Holmgren in itself was a win for them because they were hoping that he was going to be there at 2. Usman Dieng, not the biggest fan of that pick.
That's crazy. That is crazy because when the Knicks drafted Usman, you were lit.
No,
you were happy. Not. You're lying. Don't lie to me like this. I was right there.
I was disappointed at first, and then I was like, all right, whatever. I get it for the
You're
upside.
Really going to chat? I was right there. I saw you geek out when you guys drafted him, and then you were like, man, we traded him. And you were like, I was just gassing it because he's a Knick, and I wanted to be hyped for him. Don't play.
No, that's exactly true. I wanted to be hyped for him. Oh, my God. But Usman Dieng, he was horrible in the NBL. He played better in the second half of the year, but he was bad. He's a project player.
He is.
I think
he's got some nice upside
they made up for it when they drafted Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams at 12. I think he's a better player than Usman Dieng right now.
And he's knocked down.
He's a better player than him right now. He can create off the dribble.
He can definitely
he's a great shooter. So now OKC potentially you got now Shea, you have Dort, you have Giddey, Jalen Williams, and the other Jalen Williams they drafted at 34. Both can play the 4. Jalen Williams at 34 could play the 5. He could switch around. And then Chet, he's playing a 5. So I think OKC hit a home run. Josh Giddey, Chet, alley-oops. I can't wait to watch that. The Rockets, another winner. Like Riv mentioned, if it wasn't for John picking Walker Kessler, Ty, he picked Ty, we would have had the Rockets draft entirely right. And this is the second year in a row where I feel like the Rockets have been winners. Last year, they drafted Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, Usman Garuba, Josh Christopher. Now this year, they draft Jabari, Tari Eason, Ty. Now, do I think Usman is now...
Oh, you don't have to do that.
His era's gone? Yeah, I
gave
think it is.
Bro, he still has defensive upside. Don't sleep.
The new look Rockets now feature KPJ, Jalen Green, Terry Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., and I'm not sure who their 5 is going to be or who their 4. I might be blanking on the name right now.
Jabari will probably play the 5.
They have a good lineup, and they have a good lineup going forward now. I like this young core. Oh, Alperen Şengün. So Alperen Şengün at the 5, Jabari at the 4.
For sure.
I like that front court. I'm high on all these young players.
I think Tari is going to start day 1.
Yeah.
Unless Gordon's still on the team.
Yeah, I like all these young players. And the Spurs, also, you mentioned it, Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley has the potential to be a very good 3-and-D player in this league.
There's a lot of winners in this draft.
He's very good defensively. Malachi Branham is a more controlled Karis LeVert. Jeremy Sohan, they needed to fill that 4 spot. And when we did the mock draft for the Spurs, we had them going with Jeremy Sohan, but at pick 20, not at 9. Yeah. At 9, it was Johnny Davis. So basically, they still filled their needs. And this makes me wonder, what's going on with Josh Primo? Do they still believe in him? Because picking Malachi Branham, who just as draft prospects, Malachi Branham is a better draft prospect
It's not even close.
than Josh Primo coming out. So now that makes me wonder, is he going to now take the reins and be that starting 2 guard? And now we're looking at a Spurs team with DeJounte Murray. If he stays, it'd be ideal. But then you have Malachi Branham, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan. They have a lot of good young players and are building on this. And the last team that I think won the draft, the Portland Trailblazers. Listen, I've been low on Shaedon Sharpe, but there's no better situation than the Portland Trailblazers
Absolutely.
to learn under Dame. And this is a guy that said that he wants to be an all-time great. He already feels like he's one of the best players. So I think the Blazers, what I like about what they did is that they didn't go for fit. They didn't say, you know what, let's settle for an AJ Griffin because he's more polished and he's more ready. Because in all actuality, rookies are more likely than not going to be ready in the NBA. No matter how polished of a prospect they are, they're going to take some time. So might as well go with the guy who has one of the highest upsides in the draft in Shaedon Sharpe. And now the future of your backcourt looks like Anthony Simons and Shaedon Sharpe. So after the Dame era, they have players they can build around. They have a very good backcourt. And that's why I feel like they were one of the winners in this draft, because Shaedon Sharpe is one of those players we can look at in a couple of years and say, how did he fall to 7?
Oh, listen, I don't disagree too much. I love Shaedon going to Portland. You mentioned it. You hit it right in the head. You take the best available. If you're the Blazers, you want to surround Damian Lillard with as much talent as you can while he's in his prime or going towards the back end of his prime. And Portland Trailblazers have done exactly that. You add Jeremy Grant to this rotation. Portland's going to be a team to look out for next season for sure.